Welcome everyone on Freilich and Lichtig and Chanuka as we record this segment known as For the Shabbos Table. This week for the Shabbos Chanuka Table, as we wish everybody a Freilich and Lichtig and Chanuka, made possible by a grant by the wonderful Reuben family with the tefillah that they should be Zeicha, Tatzach, and Ruchnius and Gashmius, and a special tefillah that they should be zeicha to a healthy ben zachar. The Maral asks a very simple question. He says there seems to be a contradiction. The Gemara tells us in Masechta Shabbos that the mitzvah of lighting the menorah, mitzvasa mishetishka chama, the mitzvah is from when the sun sets at shetichla regel minashuk, until people stop walking outside in the marketplace. Mikan ve'elach, after that, when nobody is around, over azman, then the time is over. You forfeited the chance. But then the Gemara says, Ner Chanukah, the mitzvah of Ner Chanukah, mitzvah lanicha al Pesach Pesach. It's a mitzvah to put it by the door of your house. Ubeshas hasakana, but in a time of danger, when there's persecution against people that do mitzvahs, manicha al shulchana, you place it on your table and that's enough. So asks the Maral, that seems to be a contradiction. The first Gemara implies that if there's nobody outside, then the time for the mitzvah is passed. And then it says in a time of sakana, you could light it by the door of your house. I mean, you could light it on the table of your house. So the Maral explains that in a time of danger, there's a special inyan of the Chanukah menorah to give people hope, to give people tikva, that just like when we were outnumbered by the terrible Syrian Greeks and the wicked Antiochus and his massive armies, and there was a great miracle of Rabbim Biad Ma'atim, Tmeim Biad Tahirim, Rishon Biad Tzadikim. So too in a time of danger we look at the menorah and we are fortified with the hope of this message that Hashem, Kel Racham V'chanon, will once again protect B'nai B'chayri Yisrael. I mean, this answer of the Maral, Mamish, is so fitting for our day and age when we're surrounded on all sides and we have such a ferocious, savage enemy. But the Rebbeinu Shalom, as we look at the Chanukah menorah, tells us that don't worry. Just like we were victorious then, we'll be victorious now. And really, that's the message of the Gemara in Masechta Shabbos on Daf Chav Beis Amud Beis, where Rav Sheshes asks a question. Most of Rav Sheshes, it says mechutz l'pareiches ha'edus, outside of the curtain that separates the Kodesh Kodashim and the Kodesh, you should set up the menorah. So asks Rav Sheshes, v'chi la'ayra tzarech? Does the Rebbeinu Shalom need lights? I mean, the Beis Mikdash is Hashem's house. Does Hashem need you to install electricity? The 40 years that when we went in the Midbar where there were no lights, there were no electricity, we went with the Rebbeinu Shalom's light, with the Amud Eish. Do we have to set up electricity? Do we have to set up a menorah in Hashem's house? So the Gemara says, of course not. The purpose of the menorah is not that Hashem should have light. It's testimony to all those that come to the world, that the Shechina resides in Yisrael. And one of the testimonies is that the Ner Maravi Some learn that that's the central light of the lamp of the menorah, had the same oil as all the other lamps, and it lasted all the way till they lit again. It lasted much longer. So it was a testimony that that's the message of the menorah. The message of the menorah is that Hashem Shechayra b'Yisrael. And that's the message of hope now when we do battle with these savages, that Hashem Shechayra b'Yisrael. It's interesting that the Haftarah of Chanuka is from the Nevuah of Zechariah. And the Haftarah that we learn on Chanuka tells us that Zechariah saw a vision. He saw a vision of a menorah with 7 branches, and he saw pipes coming from above and filling oil into this menorah. And when he asked what's the meaning of the vision, he was told, "Lo b'chayil v'lo b'koyach," not with valor and not with strength. Kiyim beruchi amar Hashem tzvakos. It's my spirit that prevails with you. That's the lesson, of course. That einonu yishayin al avinu shemayim. Although we have a great shliach in the soldiers that are fighting, but it's the Rabbeinu Shalom, right? I told you that the only pasuk in the entire Torah that has gematria of Eretz Yisrael is Hashem ish milchama Hashem shmai. It's interesting that the Maral in the Chidushei Agados wonders, it's a question that many people wonder about. When the Gemara says my Chanukah, it zooms in on the miracle of the oil, that they found a jug that was sealed with the seal of the Kohen Gadol, even though there was a ferocious attempt by the Syrian Greeks to contaminate every last bit of oil. They found this jug, but it was enough for one day. And it took 8 days to manufacture Tardika oil. And a miracle happened, and it lit for 8 days. So that's, the Gemara says, that's Chanukah. Yet in Al Anisim, it talks about the Nitzachon. It talks about the miracle of the battle. It doesn't talk about the oil. So the Maral explains that, of course, in the rescue of human life, nothing is more important than a Jewish life, the miracle that the untrained Maccabees, a small family of Kohanim, succeeded against the military might of the Olympic might of the Syrian Greeks. I mean, that was stupendous. However, the Maral says an interesting thing. The Maral says that a casual observer, especially looking in the lens of history from afar, might say, well, Yehuda Maccabee was a brilliant tactician. He was a strategic general, and he got the better of the Syrian Greeks. One might think that maybe it was although an unlikely, but maybe it was a natural conquest of, the Jewish cup. And therefore Hashem made the miracle of the oil. When one jar of oil lasted for 8 days, that was something that was clearly a nes nigla, clearly openly miraculous. And that reveals over here also the open miracle that happened when Yehuda Maccabee and the Maccabees defeated the Yevonim. It's interesting, in the name Yehuda Maccabee itself, so some spell it Mem Kuf Beis Yud, and then it means Yehuda the hammer, giving strength to him. But we know it's Maccabee Mem Chaf Beis Yud, Mem Chaf Beis Yud, and it's an acronym for Micha Moicha Ba'elam Hashem. Who is like you amongst the mighty Hashem, attributed everything to Hashem and to His miracle. Like we say, Eilav Rechev, Ve'elav Asusim, V'anachnu b'shem Hashem Elokeinu na'askeh. Now in today's battle with the Hamas savages, Yimat Shemam v'Zichram, we also see signs, although somebody will say, well, the elite forces and brigades and battalions of the highly trained and sophisticated IDF, the superior air force, the drones, the robots, the help of the American Air Force carriers, the constant supply of arms and sophisticated machinery. So Hashem makes sure that we hear reports of a healthy dose of open miracles. And there are so many of them. From the very beginnings, on October 7th, when 40 armed terrorists came into the city of Ofakim, and right in their path was a shul with 500 people davening it, unarmed. And they were 40 terrorists armed with, machine gun rifles that could shoot who knows how many bullets at one time. And for some unclear reason, they didn't go into the shul. They went to a nearby town that happened to have a lot of Israeli policemen, and the Israeli policemen were able to put down these terrorists who would have brutally savaged all 500 people in the shul. And there are so many incidents. Soldiers that tell of grenades that were thrown at them, live grenades that didn't explode. I heard reports, and it's like amazing, when the reservists were called on October 7th and ran, they were given guns. Usually these guns, they're given raw, they weren't clean, they weren't oiled, they usually jam, and they don't work. The soldier said he went out on Shabbos, and he used the gun till Tuesday. And he said he was able to put down many, many terrorists. Then, after that, he went, and his time to refuel and rest came. He went to a base. He took the gun to the range, and when he showered at the range, it kept on jamming until they had to take it apart and say that the gun was completely malfunctioned. But the whole time that he was there, it was working. These are, and there are quite a few reports like this from reservists. The story that Rav Horowitz says about the tuna can, you can't make something up like this. The food that the soldiers have when they're out on the field is just a standard ration of a small can of tuna, and it doesn't taste good at all. So they have a little bit of a trick that they open the can and they throw in a match, and that smokes the tuna and makes it edible. So here he was in the Gaza, and he popped open a can of tuna and he struck a match, and somebody told him, "What are you doing? We have live ammo here." So he took he realized he made a very bad mistake. He took the can, threw it far away, and then there was a big explosion. And a few moments later, there came out a white flag with some terrorists coming out from the mouth of a tunnel. Actually, those terrorists were waiting to ambush the group of Jewish soldiers. But this man who threw the tuna can It landed in the mouth of the tunnel, hit some of their explosives, blew it up, and they came out and surrendered. See, the Rabbeinu Shalom wants to show us, this is the Pach Shemen. The Rabbeinu Shalom wants to show us a Pach Shemen. And he shows us so many of these open miracles. And today, because we're able to record these things, and they could go out viral, there's a big Persumei Nisa. Here we have a Choser B'tshuva, whose relative was taken as a hostage, and she was moved to be Mafresh Chala, and she was saying the tefillah on Mafresh Chala when she gets a phone call that the hostage was released. We have this captured on video. These are our Pach Shemen to let us know, and there's going to be books written of how many open miracles there were during this campaign. This is the Rabbeinu Shalom letting us know that he's with B'nai B'chari Yisrael. He's with his firstborn Yisrael. And the light of the Ner Chanuka is still very much with us. It says in Bereshis Rabbah, Choshech, it says, Yikar Kim La'ar Yaim, and to Laila he called Choshech. So the Medrash says in Bereshis Rabbah, Choshech Zeh Yavan. Choshech, darkness, that's Yavan. Now at first glance, this doesn't make sense at all. You have to understand what Yavan is. Yavan, Yud Vav Nun, is the same letters as Noi, beauty. Yavan represents all that is beautiful, all that glitters, all that's glamorous in the world. It says in the pasuk, Yaft Elikim liyefes. Hashem will make beautiful yefes. The Torah says yefes, and the Gemara says, what will be the beauty of yefes? Yafyusai shel Yesef, the height, the pinnacle, the zenith of beauty of yefes, Yavan Shema. That's Yavan. So Yavan, after all, they still light the Olympic torch from Athens, Greece. The Olympic grandeur, that's the most powerful, the most beautiful of the human physique, that's Yavan. And that's darkness? Sounds counterintuitive. That's darkness. So the Medrash advances further. Hechshichu einayim shel Yisrael. It darkened the eyes of Yisrael. That's Yavan. Yavan is Hechshichu einayim shel Yisrael. Now how does that happen? That's something that's so beautiful, something so gorgeous, something that glitters and is glamorous. How does it darken the eyes of Yisrael? And the answer is, Rabbi Elimelech Biederman cites a pasuk from Tehillim. Hatzileni mitit, save me from the quagmire, from the mud, the al etva'ah, that I shouldn't sink, I shouldn't drown. Now literally this means, save me from quicksand. Somebody is walking, he gets sucked into quicksand, he disappears, never to be found. So David HaMelech says, Hatzileinu mitit, save us from the tit, from the quagmire, the al etva'ah, that we should not sink. However, Rabbi Elimelech Biederman says that it means something else. Hatzileni mitit, the al etva'ah, that I shouldn't be misled by teva. That's what it means, al etva'ah. I shouldn't be misled by the teva of this world. And that's the choshech. The darkness, is the normal pursuit of the teva. pursuit of delicious food, sweet sleep, and the pursuit of amusement and fun, which is trillion-dollar industry, trillions of dollars of industry in this world. These are the smokescreen that get us to wallow in the darkness. This is the reason why we find that people wonder, and children make comparisons. They see the tiny antiquated wick of a menorah. Here we have halogen bulbs and mercury vapor lights. We have the magnificent Xmas trees, and Rockefeller Center towering scores of feet into the air, aglow with who knows how many thousands of lights. Everything is shining and magnificent. And we have an old, flickering little wick. But we have to know that the light of the menorah represents the ancient light of Torah. And that light pierces the darkness that's caused by the glow of the Yevanim. You know, Rav Elimelech Biederman gives a mashal. He says somebody is watching a movie. He's watching a movie of Old Aguda Convention, right? So he has a movie. How do you see the movie? You'd shut off all the lights. So you shut off all the lights, so you're able to see the movie. So a child that doesn't know wants to see better. So he opens up the shades in the room and lets in the light. But when you open up the shades, then you can't see the movie because you can only see it if the room is dark. He says that's what happens. This world is a film. It's not real. Somebody shines a light of Torah and it makes it that we shouldn't see the film. Let me give you an example. The reality is that Olam Hazeh Doime Leproiz Do Lifnei Olam Haba. This world is only a hallway. Now, in even the fanciest houses, what do you have in the hallway? You have a narrow hallway. It's only to get to the next room. This room is only a hallway. To make the ikar out of the hallway doesn't make sense. But the noi, the oven, the noi of this world, the distractions of teva blinds us. It makes chayshech. We don't realize the opportunities that we miss by not making this world into a prosder, into just a preparation. The Heilige B'nai Yissaschar, writes that he has it from 3 Eidim Nemonim, 3 reliable witnesses, that the light of the menorah reveals the Araganas, the hidden light. Who are his 3 Eidim Nemonim? The Roikeach, the Maral, and Reb Pinchas Mikaritz. So they all say that in the glow of the menorah is revealed the Araganas. You see, the Roikeach says that if you count all the lights of the menorah, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it equals to 36. And those are the 36 hours that Adam and Chava, who were created in the beginning of Friday, was zoichet to enjoy the Araganas in Gan Eden until they were sent out on Motzei Shabbos. Because in Gan Eden, there was no night. That's why on Shabbos it doesn't say Vayera Ve'yivoker Yom HaShvi, because there was no night in Gan Eden. So they enjoyed the Araganas for 36 hours. And those are the 36 lights of Hanukkah. The Mefarshim tell us how powerful is the exercise to gaze at the lights of the menorah. You see, these, since it represents the aragonas, it helps and enables a person to see beyond the teva, to see beyond that which is so fleeting and temporal, and to say, you know, what could I do? I could buy a toy with my money, or I could give it to tzedakah and be zereh tzedakahs for netzach netzachim. What could I do with my time? Maybe I'll sleep a little less and learn an hour, which is nitzchias l'olmei olamin. What gives a person the vision? It's not easy to see beyond the glow of this world. There's a lot what glitters. There's a lot of glamour. And it's enjoyable to us. It really is in our mortal shell. That's why David HaMelech says, please let me not sink into the teva. Looking at the glow of the menorah helps us to get this clarity of vision. It's one of the great messages of Chanuka. I just want to tell you, if we mentioned aragonas, you should remember that the Vilna Gaon in the Igeres Hagra says, how is a person zoicha? How does a person merit the aragonas? What do you do to merit the hidden light? So it's interesting, you would think of, must be something that we do incredible. Says the Vilna Gaon, it's not what you do. Yeah, I want to emphasize. You know what the aragonas is? It says, "Vayar Elikim, Hashem saw the or was taiv, vayavdel." He separated. Now, if it's good, leave it all the time. If you see something is good, keep it. So Rashi says, vayavdel, he took it away because he didn't want the Rishon to have it. That must be something really special. Because he didn't take away the Alps from the Rishon. He didn't take away the Riviera. He didn't take away a beautiful sunrise. He didn't take away the pleasures of a woman, the delicious food. He didn't take anything of that away. The aragonas he took away. That's how special the aragonas is. That's what we see when we look at the menorah. Says the Gaon, how are we zoicha to the aragonas? What do we do to be zoicha to the aragonas? Says the Gaon, for any moment that a person could speak or listen to Lashon Hara and resists it, you're zoicha to the aragonas. That's another special avodah for Chanuka. To stay away from Lashon Hara. Lashon Hara lamed hey, go to Gehenna the easy way. I want to thank the Rubin family. If you're watching this before 9 p.m. on Thursday evening, you could see my Chanuka Gems 5784 live on TorahAnytime.com. Go to the homepage, press live on the left side, look for my flyer in the middle. You could get my Chanuka shir, or you could get it the next day archived. I want to take the opportunity to thank again the Rubin family and to wish all my viewers and listeners a freiliche, lichtige, inspiring Chanuka. Have a good Shabbos.